Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on marketing the one-person service business. I'm Tim Ryan, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I'll be your host. Our presenter today is Cliff Ennico. More on Cliff in just a minute. First, some brief info on SCORE. There's over 320 offices and 11,000 volunteers nationwide. We're part of the Small Business Administration. SCORE Fairfield County happens to be one of the more active chapters, over 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer three primary value-added services to small business owners. First, free one-on-one counseling. Second, educational workshops and webinars like this one, over 100 per year. And third, extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject matter experts at your disposal, as well as templates to help you build your business plan, financial projections, and so forth. For our next webinars, beginning August 6th and then throughout August, we are replaying 4 of our most popular topics. Watch for our emails or check out our website for days and topics to be covered. If you enjoy our live workshops, tomorrow evening at the New Canaan Library at 6:30, there's a special presentation on buying and selling a business and the valuation thereof. It's a topic we haven't covered in quite a while, so if you happen to be in the area, I hope you can drop in. Some useful information about today's event. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It's located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 o'clock to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available on our website within the next couple of days. Now, our speaker. Cliff Ennico, a nationally recognized authority on small business, legal, and tax issues, is best known as the former host of Money Hunt, the PBS television series for entrepreneurs. He is also the author of 16 books, an attorney and small business consultant based in Fairfield, Connecticut. He has launched thousands of businesses in his 44-year career. Cliff, it's all yours.
Hey, Tim, thank you very much. And thank you for the wonderful introduction. I know some of you, especially who do not know who I am, if this is your first Cliff Ennico experience, you heard that introduction and you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, a lawyer teaching people how to sell? This is novel. This is interesting. It is, but I've been doing it for almost 40 years and very successfully. I actually have a YouTube video on how to sell anything to anybody, which has over 350,000 views from people in over 50 countries around the globe. I do have a YouTube channel, by the way, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. That's part of my marketing. But before we do anything, and this will show you and prove to you that I am an attorney, we do have a couple of little disclaimers here. Lawyers always tell you what we're not going to do before we tell you what we are going to do. First of all, you should be aware that while I have been a fan of SCORE for over 40 years, and I've been doing SCORE programs since the early 1980s, first in Westchester County, then in Fairfield County, anything that I say on this program is strictly me. It does not reflect the view of SCORE or anybody else. I'm not officially a part of the SCORE organization. The second one is really the more important, though. We are going to get into a little bit of legal and tax. So this is not really a legal program today, but we're going to be doing some legal and tax stuff. And there's a very big difference between giving out legal and tax information and legal and tax advice. Those are two very different things. It's one thing to say, this is kind of what the law is all about, which is what we're going to be doing today if we do it at all. But it's a very different thing to say, now, Joe, here's why you should be doing something, and Mary, here's why you should be doing something else. It's very different. I really can't do that on a program like this. So if you do hear something I say and it sounds like a great idea, and you put it into practice and it doesn't work out for you, your business fails, you end up filing bankruptcy, your spouse divorces you, your kids don't want to talk to you anymore, the dog is peeing on your leg, and you're living in a diaper box under the Brooklyn Bridge, you can't sue anybody. That's really the message of these disclaimers. Okay, let's get started. Okay, here's the thing. Marketing is the most key activity in any small business. Take it from somebody who has worked with over 20,000 small businesses around the country in his 45-year career. And I will tell you that the key to success, if anybody asks me at a cocktail party or whatever, it boils down to marketing. That is it. If you are good at this, if you can market yourself effectively, you stand a very good chance of having a successful business. Do it poorly and you will fail sooner or later. It is almost a guarantee. I have never seen a client succeed who was poor at marketing. Sooner or later, even if you're very good, even if you have a great reputation, sooner or later, if you're not constantly stirring the pot and getting people interested in you and wanting to contact you, sooner or later that telephone stops ringing, the email inbox shuts down, and you're sitting around wondering what the hell you're going to do with yourself. Okay. We should be aware that we do have a name for something. Whenever you are engaged in an activity that does not generate any money for you, we call that a hobby. Just so you know. Now, of course, the SBA has a very specific, or the IRS has a very specific definition of what's a hobby, what's a business. I'm not going to get into that. Just say your primary goal in business is to make money, and you don't make money unless you have customers, and you don't get customers unless you do marketing. It's as simple as that. When you're starting out in business, you probably should spend 50% of your time on marketing, but at any given time, you should spend, at least 20 to 25% of your total business time on marketing activities. I do. Now, I've been practicing for 45 years. Every day in my practice, I spend at least an hour on marketing related activities. This program is an example of it. You have to constantly, one of the biggest mistakes that people make, and especially in like consulting businesses and businesses where you're giving out advice or information of one sort or another, is you get so caught up keeping your current clients happy that you let your marketing slide. So sooner or later, you've done all those jobs, and your existing clients love you, but they don't have anything else for you to work on. I have clients that I haven't heard from them in 10, 12 years, but sometimes I'll get a call from somebody. Hey, Cliff, you don't remember me, but you did an LLC for me 12 years ago. I'm still their lawyer, but they just haven't called me in 12 years. They haven't needed a lawyer in 12 years, which is probably a good thing. But that's the thing. So I can't count on these people to constantly call me and keep me busy. I've got to constantly stir the pot and make sure that that phone keeps on ringing every day. I will never outgrow that until I retire. Your marketing program should be results based, and this is important. And it kind of it suffuses everything else that we're going to be talking about in the next hour. You shouldn't be spending any time on marketing that's not working. You should only spend time on things that you know will work for you. And finding out what those things are is the initial challenge that you have when you set up a one-person business. Finding out what works and what doesn't for your particular field, whatever it is that you do. Uh, you know, don't, I mean, for so, just to be silly for a moment, unless you are consumer facing in your business, why do you have a Facebook page? That's for consumer facing businesses. If you're B2B, you should be more appropriately on LinkedIn or someplace like that. That's just a silly example of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to mention this at least several times. Do what works and don't spend any of your precious time on planet Earth doing things that don't work. Okay. The two reasons anyone buys anything, before you can market your business effectively, you have to give some thought to your customers. Who are they? Who are they? What do they look like? Why are they motivated to buy? Why do they care about your services or your goods, whatever it is you're selling? This is primarily a program for service providers, but I'm sure we got some people that are actually selling stuff on eBay, Amazon, whatever. We always get a few of those. It applies the same whether you're talking about goods or services. One of the most profound lessons that I have learned in my 45 years of working with small businesses is that the textbooks are all wrong when it comes to marketing. If you read a marketing textbook, like an MBA textbook or a college level marketing textbook, it will say that there are two reasons why anybody buys anything are needs and wants. And I got to tell you something, it's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. It's not needs and wants, it's fears and passions. Okay. If you have a business that turns people on, that gets them excited about life in some way, you will sell stuff. Likewise, if you have a business that helps people, sleep better at nights, you will get business. These are the two primary emotions that undergird most of buying behavior, especially consumer behavior, but also businesses too. Even people who are buying B2B products have fears and passions as well. They're just a little different than the consumers. I mean, think of entire industries that are based on people's passions. I mean, sporting goods, the entertainment, the movie industry, theater. I mean, let's talk about some passions that are not so easy to talk about. Pornography is a passion-based business. The seven deadly sins. I used to actually in my live programs, and you'll hear this on my YouTube video too. Um, I sometimes will ask a new client, tell me which of the seven deadly sins do your products appeal to and why? Yeah, I will ask that question, and it's not. I'm not being cynical. I want to know because those seven things motivate a lot of buying behavior in people. They're not the only passions that are out there, but it's a nice place to start. Are the seven deadly? So look it up online. Now, obviously, fear-based. I mean, as a lawyer, duh, I am in a fear-based business. People do not call their lawyers when they're having a nice day. That never happens. There are two people you never call when you're having a nice day: your lawyer and your orthopedic surgeon. You never call those two people when you're having a nice day. It's always there's a problem. You need an immediate response. I mean, I spend half my day, all my phone calls begin the exact way. Cliff, thank God you picked up. That's people are suffering and they need help. This is the business I'm in, and I live with that. But if I'm looking to sell my services, the first thing I got to do is I got to scare the crap out of you, and I got to make you feel the fear, in a specific way. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And if we don't, you have my YouTube video that you can go to. By the way, all my YouTube videos, if you go to youtube.com and you search for Cliff Ennico, always search for Cliff Ennico. I don't go by Clifford online, except here for SCORE. It's Cliff Ennico. And when you get there, search for how to sell. Cliff Ennico, how to sell. If you search for that, you'll get right to the video that I'm talking about. If you just type in Cliff Ennico, you'll see all 55 1-hour videos. I have a library of videos. Many of them are former SCORE presentations that I have up on. They're all absolutely free. I don't charge for them. Hopefully, I'll get some advertising someday. I'm looking to monetize it. But just keep in mind that if I don't spend enough time on a particular topic today, you can always go to my YouTube channel and you'll get a deeper dive on any of this stuff. Okay, appealing. Why do needs not work? Why is it not true that people buy things they need? Well, there's two reasons for that. In order for somebody to buy something that they need, two things have to happen, and they very rarely happen in the real world of business. They only happen in textbooks. The first thing is before you can buy something you need, you have to know that you need it. Right? Do you know all the things you need in life? Of course not. That's why you're on this program right now. You're hoping I'm going to give you some wisdom and some advice that you don't already have. That'll help you sell more effectively. That's why you're sitting here in this conference, in this call. You don't know everything that you need, but here's the thing: even if you know what you need, you don't always buy right now. And to show you that I am no better than anybody else when it comes to this stuff, I'm going to share with you that up until a few years ago, I did not have a will. Now, some of you, I'm sure, are shocked by what I've just said. Wait a minute, you're an attorney and you don't have a will? Dude, you just, there goes your credibility, like right out the window there. Well, but think about it though. I mean, let's face it, when you're thinking about doing, when you're thinking about doing a will, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about your own death, your own demise, which is one of the most unpleasant things in the world. And there's actually only one thing worse than thinking about your own death, your own demise, and that is thinking about all the undeserving people who are going to get all your hard-earned money that you've worked a lifetime to accumulate if you die prematurely. Those people who do not deserve to have the money that you have. That's a really unpleasant thing to think about. That sounds cynical a little bit, but trust me, it's true. Okay, so there's a lot of good reasons why people don't have wills. Now, but here's a situation, folks, where look, is it the case that I don't know I need a will? Why did I hold off so long getting a will? Because I don't know I need one? Hell, I'm a lawyer. If anybody knows I need a will, it's me. And I give this advice to clients all the time. You need a will, you need a will, you need a will. Okay. But here's the thing. I didn't do it until about 5 years ago. So here's a situation where a reasonably intelligent human being, a lawyer no less, of course, some of them are not reasonably intelligent, but let's just leave it there. I know I need something. Also, too, because I'm a lawyer, I've got friends, trusted estates lawyers that do wills who offer to do it for me for nothing because I refer them business. They think, hey, Cliff, thanks for sending me so and so. Hey, listen, if you and your wife need your will updated, call me. I'll do it for free. Here's a situation. I know I need something. I've got people willing to do this for me from nothing, and I'm still saying no. I'm resisting it. Okay, that's your customer. Your customer. You can lead the horse to water, but you cannot always make them drink. Okay, you have to have other things going on, and the way that you get them to drink, the way that you get them a response out of them is to focus on their fears and passions. I will share with you why did I finally get a will done? Because one night over dinner, I was having dinner with one of my organizations years ago before the pandemic, and there was a trusted estates attorney at the table. And when I happened to mention casually I didn't have a will, she kind of gave me the look like, yeah. But then she did something very brilliant. She didn't say, you need a will, you need a will, you need a will. That's what everybody else was doing. Here's what she did. She said, Cliff, we just met tonight. As I understand it, you're kind of a small business guru. Am I correct? And I said, yeah, that's right. And obviously, when you talk to your small business audiences, you talk about succession planning and the need to have a will, in case that you get hit by a bus or whatever, you board the wrong airplane. I'm like, yes, of course I do. So let me ask you just a rhetorical question, Cliff. If the world were to find out that the great Cliff Ennico, the great small business expert, died without a will, how would that affect your credibility? What would that do to the sales of your books, your tapes, all the stuff that you do? You know, I had never thought of it that way before. And you know something? Not only did I go out immediately and get the will done, I hired her to do it because I owed her that for giving me that insight. That's how you sell, folks. It's an appeal to people's fears or passions, depending on which side of the ledger you're on. Most products have a fear sell and a passion sell, but some are just strictly fear sell or strictly passion sell. If you know your business, you'll know which one is the right approach for a particular customer. Um, you know, I mean, people resist this. They say, well, wait a minute, we all need food. Yeah, we do. At a certain level, we all need food or else we starve to death. Obviously, that's not a problem in my case. But whether you satisfy your hunger with steamed broccoli or a quarter pounder at McDonald's is driven by your fears and passions and who you are. Okay. Businesses don't have fears and passions, but business executives do. Okay. And their biggest fear is getting fired because they hired some idiot consultant that gave them crappy advice and cost them a ton of money that wasn't worth crap. That's one of the fears that they have that you have to overcome when you're selling to, corporations or corporate customers. Okay. Generally speaking, in any kind of service business, especially a business that I'm really focusing this on consulting businesses and businesses where you give out advice, because that's basically what I am. I mean, I am a lawyer, but most of what I do is really business consulting. It isn't really the practice of law at all. I don't represent clients in court. I don't do wills. I don't do real estate conveyancing. I don't do all the stuff that lawyers do. I'm a business advisor, is what I am, a specialized business advisor. So I'm a consultant. You can consider me that way. There are only three things that the customers can care about. Can I solve my problem? Can I work with you? Can I afford your services? Those are the three things that your that your customers want. And by the way, this is all you should be marketing. Lawyers are the biggest offenders here. I look at least several lawyer websites a day because I'm looking for referrals. I'm looking for, you know, people in Long Island who represent left-handed plumbers of Lithuanian origin, somebody with a real specialized legal need. I'm always looking for people like that. And it bugs me when I see a website where all they talk about, first of all, they have an ugly photo up there, of themselves, like a selfie that they took at the Grand Canyon. And then they got all their resume where they went to school, that they were on law review, a copy of the article that's been cited by the Supreme Court. Nobody cares about that. The only thing people care about when they're hiring an attorney is, can you solve my problem? Do you know what you're doing? And can I afford you? Those are the only two things they care about. And the third thing is, can I work with you? Your personality and ability to empathize with a client situation are your two biggest marketing tools in a service business. If I don't like you, if I don't feel I can work with you, if I don't feel I can trust you, I'm not going to hire you. It doesn't matter if you have a cure for cancer and I have the disease. I will still not hire you if I don't feel comfortable working with you. If I think you're going to cheat me, if I think you just don't care about me, if you feel you don't see me, a very dear friend of mine, actually, she's fabulous at what she does. She's a high level, intellectual property consultant who advises people on patents and trademarks and stuff like that. Brilliant lady, absolutely. But she has a problem which maybe an acting coach could solve. And I've mentioned it to her. She has a resting face. But resting face means what your face looks like when you're not thinking about anything, which of course in my case is most of the time. But she has a resting face that's like, she looks like a sour prune. She looks like she disapproves of you, and she doesn't. She's very pleasant. She has a wonderful sense of humor. Once you get to know her, but when you first meet her, it appears that she's looking down at you. And that is something people don't like. People don't like other people who look down on them. And lawyers are major offenders here. We get, what? The IRS is coming after you for that, you stupid idiot. Didn't you file returns the last 2 years? Lawyers do that. They look down their nose at people, and that's a problem. People are scared anyway. But the IRS is coming after you. Believe me, that's a reason to be afraid. Very afraid. All right. And now you got a lawyer, somebody who's going to help you, and they're laughing at you because of what you are yelling at you because of what you did. I could mention a lot of politicians, by the way, that have this disease as well. They like to lecture, they like to preach, they like to talk down to you. Doesn't work. Those people usually don't get elected. Okay. So forgive me, it's election season, so I have to make that comment. Anyway, because they're in a sell too, but they're selling too. They're in a sales mode too. You're personally don't overlook your ethnic background, sex, and other personal characteristics. People feel comfortable working with people who they perceive as being like them. Now, I mean, I know with diversity and inclusion and all, we're trying to change all that, but this is something that has really not changed in 2,000 years. If you are a female and you're dealing with a situation like a domestic abuse situation, you want another female as the person to work with. You want that. That's human nature. Do not apologize for it. Take advantage of that. If you speak, I always tell people that if you ever want to double your business, and I don't care what the business is, if you want to double your business, just add 3 words to your business card, your website, your LinkedIn profile. Say habla español. Those are the 3 words. Add those 3 words to your marketing materials, you will double your business, because the Hispanic community in the United States is a grossly underserved market for most goods and services. And the main barrier is the language barrier. If you can bridge that language barrier, if you speak fluent Spanish or even good enough high school Spanish that they can understand you, you have a massive market out there, an untapped market that should be addressed. Okay. So now let's start at the beginning. So that's what we call, up to now, what I've been talking about is something called strategic marketing. Who the customers are, how do you approach them, how do you develop your sales strategy? Again, look at my YouTube videos and you'll get a lot more information on it. Now let's talk about the actual, the actual marketing process. How do you communicate with your customers, your prospective customers? There's 3 levels of marketing. The first we call recognition marketing. That is, in my case, now I'm 70 years old. I just turned 70 a couple of months ago. It's reminding people that you are still here. In the words of Spamalot, I'm not dead yet. Oh, Cliff, I cannot tell you how many times I get a call these days from somebody who said, you don't remember me, Cliff. You worked with me years ago, but your name came up in a conversation with my scorecard. I didn't realize you were still around. That happens a lot. Unless you're constantly out there getting your name in people's heads, people forget about you. They meet other attorneys, they meet other professionals. They just, I mean, it's not that you didn't do anything wrong. It's not that they dislike you. It's just that you're off their radar screen. Um, you know, Successful marketing at all levels, and especially on social media, involves constantly reaching out to people and reminding them, even if people don't read. Why do people send spam emails? Why do people still do that in 2024? Nobody likes it. You've got spam filters, whatever, because at least for a second, less than a second a day, I see an email from this person, was what. I mean, I'll get you page 1 on Google, that kind of stuff. But the only good that has done, I mean, I delete it immediately. I don't look at it. I don't respond to it, but it constantly reminds me that person is out there. I mean, I just will share with you, I just hired a professional to do some work on my home. It was something that we've never had to do here before. And how did I pick them? Because of their ads on Channel 12 News. because every time I look at the evening news, that this company advertises this particular service on Channel 12. And at some point, when I realized that I needed this, I said, you know what, these people that advertise on Channel 12, I mean, they've been around for years, I mean, as long as we've been watching Channel 12, this company has advertised there. They obviously do well. How bad can they be? And that's when I go to the website and I look them up and I look at the reviews. Of course, I do that. But, just getting that name out, hey, we're in this business, we're the professionals for this particular thing. Just getting that message across, that that's all you do, can be so valuable. That's why people do billboards and mini ads. The personal injury lawyers, that get on the line, been hurt in an accident. I mean, watch Channel 12 News and you'll see at least 10 advertisements for personal injury lawyers. They are the only people who advertise on Channel 12 News. It's about, hurt in an accident, call 1-800-CLIFF, that kind of. I don't do PI, by the way. I don't do personal injury, so please don't call me. I don't know what I'm doing there. Okay, so that's level one marketing. It's just getting your name out there and getting people to recognize Cliff Ennico, small business attorney, nice guy, we like him. Okay, that's it. Level two is explanation marketing, which is telling your story, what fears and passions you deal with, how you make people's lives better. Your brochures, your website, your LinkedIn, your online reviews on Yelp or Angie's List or someplace like that. This is where you tell your story. And the big thing is people don't care about you. They don't care that you've been practicing law for 45 years, that you've represented over 20. Well, they do care that I've represented a lot of small businesses. They don't really care that I've written the 17 books. What they really care about is, can I help them? These are the people I have. If the IRS is coming after you, or if you're, if you have a problem with your small business, your customers are deadbeats and all, you got to go beat up on them. This is the kind of work I do. It's getting that message across. If you're ever in need of an X, I'm a person who does X. That's the second level of messages, getting that to stick here. Those of you who are familiar with an elevator pitch, who know what an elevator pitch is. I know SCORE has a whole program on elevator pitches that they do from time to time. I'm sure it's on the archive if you go to scorefairfieldcounty.org. But an elevator pitch should never talk about yourself. An elevator pitch should talk about your customers, what you do for them, and how you're better than the competition. That's the key. And try to also put a little story in there that will help you, help people remember you. I'll try to give you an example of that a little bit later on. This isn't really a program on elevator pitches, but it's such an important topic. You meet somebody at the cocktail party who's a potential customer. How can you get that person interested in you in 10, 15 seconds or less? That's what the elevator pitch is all about. Then last but not least is solicitation marketing. This is actually asking for business with a call for action. Still have questions? Call me. I mean, if you look at my website at cliffennico.com, go scrolling to the very end of the text. It's just a little marketing brochure. I'm not going to win any awards for this website. But if you go to cliffennico.com, which is my law office website, you go to the bottom of it, and the very last words are, still have questions, call me, ... I don't bite. And there's my email address there. I cannot tell you, ladies and gentlemen, how many calls I have gotten from prospective clients who have said, when I got to the bottom and I saw that thing about I don't bite, I knew you were the lawyer for me. Because why? It's funny. I made them laugh. Also, it shows them I'm not one of those lawyers who looks down their nose at people. I'm welcoming you in. Call me. I don't bite. Still have questions? Call. I'm not going to charge you for a 10-minute phone call. That's the call to action. Call me and let's see if I can help you. If I can, I'll quote you a decent fee. Okay. So these are the three levels of marketing communication. And you want to try to get as many of them in your marketing materials as you possibly can. Again, the recognition is sort of the blunderbuss approach to marketing, whereas the actual call to action is the scalpel marketing is what you're doing. Okay, so now let's talk about how do you put together a marketing program? What is it you should be doing? How do you figure out what works for you and what doesn't? Like we said at the very beginning, there are 4 pillars of a marketing program for any solo business. And I don't care what the business is. These are the 4 pillars of your marketing program. There may be other things that you do, but these are the 4 things that almost all service businesses should be doing and have to do to generate business. Number 1, your involvement in organizations and community activities. Number 2, your personal interaction with clients and referral sources, the people that you meet, your elevator pitch, building your Rolodex. You younger people probably don't know what a Rolodex is, but a Rolodex is basically a list of customers and prospects. people that you can call on, relationships, people that you can call upon. And that in days gone by, it was a physical thing. It was like a little thing the little thing where you stuck your business cards in and it rotated all around. Nowadays, of course, it's all done, through things like Constant Contact and other web-based solutions. But it's still the same. Who do I know? I'm looking for business in a certain area. Who's the person who's going to refer that business to me? Who are those people? How do I reach those people? The influencers. How do I reach them? Third is your public speaking strategy. Every service professional has to get out there in front of his market and speak. Okay. If you don't like speaking, get a voice coach, get an acting coach, get someone to work with you. I get a ton of business from programs like this. I do. And it's one of the reasons why there are a lot of other attorneys in Connecticut that are crying for business right now, but I am not one of them. I'm turning away people, frankly. I'm so busy. So this is the thing. Get your message out there. When people buy your service, they don't buy your services, they buy you, and they want to see you. Can I work with this person? Is he easy to deal with? This is what they want to see. Getting out there and yakking for a few minutes about some topic that they're interested in, not that you're interested in, but that they're interested in. And then last but not least, your website and your social media pages. I did an article a number of years ago. You can probably find it online. I used to have a syndicated column that I did weekly on small business for Creators Syndicate in Los Angeles. It was called Succeeding in Your Business. If you type in Cliff Ennico, Succeeding in Your Business, you'll probably see a lot of the old columns that I wrote. But think of marketing as a piece of graph paper. You know what graph paper is? Paper with all the squares on it. Think of your mind a sheet of graph paper. Now, in your mind's eye, put X's in the boxes, but don't do it in any order. Don't go vertically or horizontally. Just randomly put X's in the boxes. Just do this. Close your eyes a little bit and do this. We'll do this a little California meditation kind of thing we're going to do for a minute. Promise no longer than this, but it's very Zen and it works. Put these boxes in the graph paper. Now, pretend in your mind that lightning is striking this sheet of graph paper, and like you, it's striking the boxes in random sequence. Okay. It's fairly easy to see that as long as you have X's and only a few boxes, it's going to be a rare occasion for lightning to strike one of those boxes that has an X in it. Whereas the more X's you put in the boxes, statistically, the more likely it is that lightning will strike one of your boxes that has an X, until finally, when all the X's are filled in, it's almost a certainty that lightning is going to strike a box that has an X with it. Now, what is the graph paper? These are your contacts. These are the people that you know, that you do business, whatever, the people that refer business to you, the people I'm talking to. Right now, all of you are X's on a piece of graph paper. Most of you, when you got on this call, unless you've heard me speak before, you don't know a small business attorney. Well, guess what? Now you know one. You know me. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not sure if you should work with me or not, but you're out there. So maybe you don't need a service, but maybe you have somebody, somebody who does, like my friend Jane. She's starting up this nonprofit. I do some nonprofit work. She's having all kinds of struggles. She's this guy, Cliff, he could probably help her. That's what I mean by lightning striking a box. At that point, you're going to give my name to somebody and they're going to call me, and maybe I can work with them, maybe I can't. But the point is, that's what the marketing process is all about. Putting as many X's on the sheet of graph paper as possible so that you achieve eventually what's called ubiquity, where there's X's in each box on the graph, and it's a certainty that someone's going to call you from that. You can't tell who, you can't tell where, but some spaghetti is going to stick on that wall. Okay. And that's what you're looking for. I mean, I'll give you an example. About a year ago, I got a call from someone. It was somebody who was looking to buy a franchise. That's, again, something I do for my clients. And he said, Cliff, I'm thinking about buying a franchise, and I think I have to hire you as my attorney. And I laughed. I said, well, you don't have to hire me. There's a gazillion lawyers out there in Connecticut and New York that know how to do this. And he said, no, I think I have to hire you because I spoke to 3 different people that I know who don't know each other. And all 3 of them said that you were the guy to call. That's the holy grail. That's what you're looking for in your marketing program, to get to that point. So let's talk about each of the 4 pillars. I'm just going to spend like maybe a couple of minutes on each one here. I want to make sure we end on time. I'm used to doing this as a 90-minute program, so I may have to race a little bit, and I apologize for the last couple of slides. Forget professional associations and networking groups. I hate networking groups. I got to be honest. First of all, they're all breakfast meetings at 7 o'clock in the morning. I am not a morning person. Okay. I don't move until 10 o'clock in the morning, usually. It's very hard for me. But aside from that, I actually just did a course for SCORE a number of years ago on how to survive a networking group, but I'm not a very big fan of them. Professional associations like bar associations, chambers of commerce and stuff, yeah, belong to them. They have educational resources, but it's very rare that you will get business from them. Go where the clients are. Join organizations of people that are prospective clients and that have as few competitors as possible. So if I have the choice of joining another bar association or joining a venture capital group here in Connecticut, I'm going to join the venture capital group because that's where a lot of my clients live. They're people that are looking for financing. They want to know how to structure a securities offering and all that stuff. When selecting organizations, watch out for you have to assess their flake ratio. This is a Cliff Ennico thing. You will only hear about this on one of my programs. The flake ratio of any organization is the ratio of flaky people to total population. And different organizations have different flake ratios. You want to look for organizations that have a very low flake ratio. Only one flake per 1,000 people. If you are in an organization that have 100 flaky people for every 200 population, that's not a good organization for you to be with. And you don't want your name associated with them because everybody recognizes that it's a flaky organization. And if they see that you're associated with it, they will think you're flaky as well. It's guilt by association. Years ago, there was a venture group in Connecticut that shall remain nameless. I attended one of this is about 30 years ago when I first started practicing in Connecticut. I went to one of their meetings and I sat next to this person whose brilliant idea, they go around the room, you have to get up there and give me your elevator pitch and talk about what it is you're doing. And his brilliant idea, he was looking for funding for an off-Broadway, all-nude musical based on Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. That was his thing. And I sat to this thing next to this person, and I'm saying, I don't want to be in the same room with this person. Okay, I do not want to be here. I made an excuse to go to the bathroom. I left and I never went back to that organization. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about a flake ratio. If you do join up an organization, believe in the organization's mission, be prepared to roll up your sleeves and get involved. Don't just join an organization because you're looking for business. Join because you care about what they're doing, care about your mission, you want to do stuff. Never pass up a photo opportunity. If you ever go to a meeting and they're taking pictures, especially if there's politicals involved, make sure you get next to your least favorite senator, assembly person, or whatever. I mean, hold your nose, do it, because those pictures always get into the newspapers, and it's nice for people to say that you're associated with those people. Okay. The second pillar, your personal contact and networking. Sell benefits, not features. Don't tell people I don't use the L word very much, the lawyer word in my marketing. I try to avoid it as much, and there's a very good reason for it because a lot of people don't have a positive image of lawyers. We're kind of down there with used car salesmen and people like that. I don't know you. If I meet you at a party or at an organization meeting, I don't know you well enough to know what your opinion of lawyers is. So I don't always volunteer that I'm a lawyer. I don't mention that word. I don't use the L word until I'm comfortable that you haven't had those kind of experience. Because the minute I go out there and I say I'm a lawyer, I have lost a certain portion of my audience. Oh, lawyers, man. Trust me, this may sound very cynical, but if you have been through a difficult divorce, you hate attorneys. Those two things, hand in hand. Like almost always that case. Now, I don't know any of you well enough to know if that's the story of your life, but that's one of the things I watch out for. When people say, "What do you do?" I say, "Well, I help small businesses solve their problems." That is a much more positive elevator pitch. And then when I get to know you a little bit better, then I'll drop the L word because now I know who you are. And I know how you're going to react to it. Don't talk about yourself. Get people talking about their fears and passions and get them to feel those fears and passions in the present moment. When giving an elevator pitch, if you ever do like a networking group or an association and you're asked to do an elevator pitch, they go around the room, you have to stand up and talk for 30 seconds. Tell people the client you serve, how you make their lives better, what distinguishes you from your competition, and then tell a story, a humorous anecdote, or a weird fact that will stick in the person's head and make them remember you weeks and months from today. I guarantee you when this call is over in a few minutes, most of you a day from now are not going to remember who I was or my name. or anything like that. And I don't take it personally. That's just human nature. You're focused on other stuff. You don't remember. I don't remember. I'm at an age now where I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning sometimes. So I totally get this. But here's the thing. So if I'm giving a presentation and I want you to remember me, I'm going to tell you something a little strange and a little odd that's going to make you remember me. And I'm going to give you an example. I said I was going to do this. Here's the elevator pitch. Years ago, back in the 90s and the early aughts, I ran a little publishing company, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. Here is my elevator pitch that I gave at meetings and wherever I was trying to sell books. Hi, I'm Cliff Ennico, president of Bienix Corporation in Fairfield, Connecticut. We are the leading publisher of books, audio tape programs, and other information products for lawyers, paralegals, and other legal professionals to help them manage their careers better. We don't teach them how to practice law. We teach them how to be more successful. One of our books, The Legal Job Interview on how to interview for a legal job, was the book most frequently stolen from law libraries around the country, according to a recent librarian survey. Now, what did I do? And how long did that take, by the way? 15 seconds, not even 15 seconds to do all that. What did I do in that elevator pitch? I told you who my customers were: lawyers, paralegals, and other legal professionals. I told you how I make their lives better. We're not teaching them how to practice law. We're not a continuing legal education company. We're focused on career advice: how to get more clients, how to get more business, how to grow a practice, how to make partner at a law firm. I actually wrote a book on how to make partner at a law firm. It's still in print on Amazon if you find it somewhere. This is what distinguishes us from our competition. And then I told you that story, which is, by the way, utterly true. And by the way, I was the author of that book, which I am so proud of. It's called The Legal Job Interview. It is still in print 30 years later. You can get it on Amazon for about 20 bucks, about how to interview for a legal job. And that, for several years in the late 90s, was the book most frequently stolen from law libraries around the country. Now, that doesn't say much for the ethics of my profession, ladies and gentlemen, but that's great dust jacket copy for a book. The book most frequently stolen, according to the American Law Librarians Association. That's marketing you can't buy anywhere. That was one of the best things that ever happened to us. Now, the question rises: who's going out there stealing the books from the library? I will share with you that back then I was giving a lot of law talks on law school campuses, and I would always make it a point to visit the library for kind of a few minutes. But anyway, we won't go into that. Anyway, so let's keep going here. We're having too much fun. Public speaking. I said this before. I will say it again. For any professional involved in an information type business where you're giving advice, like I do, public speaking is a key part of your profile. I know a lot of people have a fear of public speaking. I personally don't. I was born without that gene. One of the greatest ways to turn me on is to tell me that I have to give a talk later today to a group of people I don't know on a topic that I barely know anything about. That's a turn on to me. I mean, that's a challenge to me. Oh, somebody wants to talk about the new Corporate Transparency Act. Okay, great. What was that again? Okay, how much time do I have? 2 hours? Okay, I'll put something together. I'll have something ready to go. Put me on. I'm on board. This is how I market my practice. This is how I get my word out there. A lot of you who've attended some of my legal programs, the first time you ever heard about this legal problem was when I told you about it. Okay, and that's what I pride myself on. That's what I do. Get lists of local organizations that meet regularly. Find out who their program directors are. This is how I started. When I first came to Connecticut, I was in New York for a while. In New York City, I worked for two giant law firms back in the '80s. And when I came up here in the early '90s, I didn't know a soul, but there was a publication called the Fairfield County Business Journal, and in the back of that journal, still published, although it's an online thing now, there was a column in the back called On the Agenda, and it was nothing more than a list of meetings of business groups that were taking place in Fairfield County that week. And it gave the name and the phone number for the program director. I called each one of them and I would say, hey, I see you're the Fairfield County chapter of the American Association of Management Consultants. I'm a new attorney in town. Just so you know, I see that you have luncheon meetings. Just so you know, I got a bunch of things I can talk to your group about, and I'm free. I don't charge for this. Just feed me, and I'd love to speak to your group. If you're interested, call me. I almost always got a call back. The minute you utter the F word, free, you will get a call back. If you offer to speak to somebody for free, you will get a call back, almost certainly. Why? Because think of these program directors. Who are they? These are the people, their job, their sole purpose in life in that organization is to find a speaker for the monthly lunch meeting. And like you, they're so busy practicing whatever it is that they do, they don't have time to look for people. So someone calls out of the blue and says, hey, I'll speak to your organization for nothing. That voice message is not going to be deleted. You are going to return that call. Okay. And how bad can this guy be if he's out there talking about the Corporate Transparency Act? Remember that you are in show business when you speak. If you can't keep them awake, you can't teach them nothing. This is the best advice I ever got on public speaking from a grizzled old Brooklyn real estate attorney, one of my earliest mentors, long since passed away, unfortunately. He was a real, cigar chomping old Brooklyn lawyer with a New York accent that you could cut with a knife. If you can't keep them awake, Cliff, you can't teach them nothing. And that's the best advice you get. Be memorable. Don't be in a good way. Don't do something stupid. Don't tell dirty jokes, at a women's organization. I actually went to a meeting of a women's organization years ago. They brought some attorney in, and the first thing he did was he led with an off-color joke, which is something you just don't do in that setting. Okay, I don't know where his brain was, but remember to include the disclaimer, this is information, not advice, just like I did at the very beginning of my program. And be sure to hit the gym regularly. Obviously, I don't do this, but as you will gain lots of weight. I mean, when I was first starting out in the early 90s, I was doing lunch meetings like 2 or 3 times a week for various organizations, and the weight does tend to pile up if you don't have a way to lose up. Trust me, I did not look like this when I was first starting out in practice 30 years ago. Okay, the fourth and last pillar, your website and social media. Please, 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 if you are in a consulting business or a business where you're giving out information, you must have a website of your own. Exclamation point. Cliff Ennico says, okay, it bothers the hell out of me when I hear about a lawyer who I might want to refer business to, and I try to find them online and they don't have a website of their own where they can tell their story. They've got all kinds of reviews on Yelp and on Avo. That's a social media site for lawyers. They got all these, they got their LinkedIn profile, they got the Instagram, they got all this, but there's no place where I can go to just hear their story and have them tell me what they are all about. That bugs the crap out of me and it destroys your credibility. If you meet me at a party and I say, well, Cliff Ennico, if you go to cliffennico.com, that's where I am. And that's where you can show me it's a credibility killer, buzzkill, if you do not have a website of your own. Spend $1,000, maybe less, probably even less these days. Get yourself a basic marketing brochure type of website like what I have at cliffennico.com. Keep it up to date, but get that message out there. People look for it. Oh, I got a LinkedIn profile. Yeah, you do. But you know what? The LinkedIn profile has all kinds of rules and regulations about what you can and cannot say on there. So, for example, on LinkedIn, I cannot say I'm a specialist. That's barred by the like the ethics rules in most bar associations around the country. There's all these kinds of things. Whereas if you have your own website, that's where I can tell my story the way I want to tell it. I want to hear your voice on that website. I don't want this to sound like you hired some consultant to write copy for you. Oh, and if you're using AI, I can tell if you're using AI. Okay, so don't try that. Use AI for your research and for some suggestions, but write the bloody copy yourself. Okay, what should be on your website, what you do, how much you charge. I mean, there are lawyers in Connecticut who think I am the Antichrist because I put my fee schedule on my website. If you go to cliffennico.com, I tell you exactly how much I'm going to charge for most of the services, my most common services that I do for my clients, because people want to know how much an attorney is going to cost, and they're afraid to ask lawyers about how much they charge. It amazes me that people who would not hesitate to haggle at a farmer's market over a bunch of tomatoes will be reluctant to ask an attorney how much his hourly rate is. That is absurd to me. But I know this, and I know my clients appreciate the fact that I save them that agita by putting my information on my website right there so they can see it without having to ask for it. Put some free information and content up there. If you go to my website, I got a whole bunch of stuff, downloads. If you're looking to buy a franchise, for example, I got a little thing, 25 questions to ask a franchise when you're interviewing the franchise executives. I got another thing, too, if you're buying a franchise, the questions you should be asking their other franchisees. They usually give you a list of their franchisees and say, hey, call these people and see if they're happy. I got a list of questions you can ask those people. I got resources. These are things you can actually cut and paste and use. I don't care about these things. I'm not making money off of them. I just want to show you how brilliant I am, and I'm going to do something good for you. I'm going to give you something for free that you don't have before. That's what I want. And then, of course, testimonials, endorsements from satisfied clients. To me, the most effective lawyer ads on TV are the ones where the lawyers are not talking, but they actually have actual clients who's saying this is what he did for me and this is whatever. Those are the more effective ads to me. I'm more likely to believe them than the guy in the 3-piece suit that doesn't fit, telling you how great he is. Okay. What should not be on your website? Your photo, unless it is professionally done and you're relatively good looking. Please don't be offended by that. I'm used to giving this talk to attorneys, and I will tell you that there is a very large contingent of attorneys with faces that would frighten small children. These people have to be very careful about putting their photo on their website because they're likely to scare off prospective clients. Make sure that it's professionally done. Do not do a selfie of your trip to the Grand Canyon where you're sitting around in a pair of shorts with a s'more on the end of a stick. Don't do that. There's a doctor that I know in another state. He's not in Connecticut, but this guy, he's got his photo up on his website, and he's there in a leather jacket and the Billy Bob shades, the Ray Bans and all that stuff. He looks like he just came out of Miami Vice, and he's a doctor. He's a surgeon. I mean, I'm not going to hire a guy that looks like a movie star. I want to hire a surgeon that looks like he hasn't slept in 10 days. That's the doctor I want. That's the lawyer I want. By the way, never trust a lawyer that has a gorgeous tan. By the way, if you go to a law firm and the lawyer has a gorgeous tan, this is not the person who's going to be doing your work. This is the marketing person. This is the person who sells new clients. You want to talk to the person who's going to be living behind closed doors with the food being put under the door, who hasn't slept in 10 days. Who looks like he's death warmed over. This is the person that you want to meet. That's the person that's going to be doing your legal work. You want to make sure you meet that person. Not the person who's too polished. Don't put too much of your biography up there because people don't care. I mean, it's easy for me because I can always go out and say that I'm the author of 17 books. Now, if I'm the author of 17 books, do I have to prove that my grades in law school were pretty good? Okay, I don't have to do that. If I'm out there, if that's my message, people will accept the fact, and most people will. Most people will not question you on how good you are. They will assume that, well, if he's out there, if this is what he's doing and he's got a good reputation, whatever, I'm not going to ask him how good he is. I'm not going to ask for a reference if that's the case. Professional awards, articles, people don't care about that crap. Anything else your clients don't care about, remember, it's the client's website, not yours. Okay. Marketing the home-based business for most of us work out of our homes these days. The best way to market a home-based business is not to look like a home-based business. Okay, don't use your home address for UPS services for business purposes. 131 Priscilla Lane in Westport is not a business address, and I know that. Rent a UPS store. A lot of people don't know this. The UPS stores where you send your UPS packages and stuff, they also have a private mailbox service. You can rent a mailbox there, and instead of it being PO Box 123, you get an actual street address, 123 Main Street, Suite 456, which looks a lot better. It's in a commercial zone. You don't have to worry about the whole working out of home. Are you violating your local zoning code? No, you're not, because you may be working out of the house, but your mailing address, all the packages and the UPS and the post office, it's all going to go to the UPS store. So that's in a commercial zone. You don't have to worry about it. And it also gets you out of the house at least twice a day. I mean, one of the big challenges, I actually do a program for SCORE on working out of a home business. One of the biggest challenges is the loneliness factor of working alone out of your home. I mean, at least my UPS store, I get out of the house twice a day, once in the morning to drop off my stuff, once at night to pick up the mail that's come in. It gets me there at least twice a day. It's less than 5 miles from my home, so it's easy to get there. If you have to meet with your clients, don't never see clients in the home. Rent conference room space from local professional firms or your local library or a WeWorks type space. See clients at their offices whenever possible or in a neutral location. When I first started practicing, I was known actually as the diner lawyer of Fairfield County because I always met my clients in diners. Why? Because they have every kind of food that you could possibly want. There's always something on the menu that you like. And as long as you're not hitting them during their peak hours of when they're really busy, they will let you sit there for hours and yak and do your business. And as long as you keep the Diet Coke filled, they don't care. It's a great place to meet. Oh, again, watch the weight, though. I will share with you something obviously that I'm not very good at, but you got to really watch your weight when you're doing this because you're going to be eating out a lot. Avoid anything that draws attention to your home. The only time that home offices get into trouble with their local authorities is when they're too visible. When the local kids can't play stickball or basketball in the street because they're too busy dodging trucks going to your home office every 5 minutes. If you got a bunch of cars in your parking lot and people are sitting on the lawn waiting to meet with you, you're going to have a problem. One of your neighbors is going to rat you out to the local zoning authority. So you don't want that. Make sure that your business is invisible to your neighbors. I have neighbors that lived in their have been my neighbors for 20 years that do not know that I work out of the house. And that's the way you want it. Okay, marketing on the internet. Let's spend a few minutes talking about this, and I'll start taking some questions here. Keep in mind that marketing on the internet, it's not about It's not about pushing your message. The internet totally transformed advertising and marketing for all businesses back in the 90s. Up until the 1990s, up until the internet, all marketing was push marketing. It was trying to get your message into people's faces, whether you wanted to hear it or not. But on the internet, the customer is in control. If I'm trying to push my message in your face on the web, you've got all kind of things on your computer. You have spam filters, you have pop-up blockers, you have all this stuff whose sole purpose is to keep my message from getting across to you, even though it's a message you need to hear, even though I've got something that you need and should have, and that you probably would want to have. All these things are blocking me from getting through. What I have to do is to seduce you. I have to get you to want to come to me and look at my website, my LinkedIn profile, whatever it is that I've got. Okay, I'm the one who has to do that. So what do people think? What are the things that people look for online? They look for cool, compelling content. Throw stuff on there that's really interesting. My 10 weirdest small business stories. The 10 weirdest things that happened to my small business clients. I actually have a piece like that up on my website. It gets downloaded every day. Stuff that's hard to find elsewhere. Great deals on stuff that's easy to find elsewhere. Okay, if you are operating like a group home or something, you need toilet paper like most people don't need. You are looking for places where you can get pallets of toilet paper at a low price that you won't get in any supermarket or Walmart or something like that. You're also looking for like-minded people that are like you. I can give a whole course on this, and maybe I will, on Cliff Ennico's approach to web marketing. But keep in mind that even in 2024, even though we've had the internet now in our lives for 30 years, the best online marketing often is offline. How many of you here have checked out a website because you read an article about it in a newspaper or a magazine or some other print publication? I still do. I read, the Wall Street Journal and the Economist, Wall Street Journal every day, the Economist every week, and I will see references to companies and I will check out their website. If I think that there's something there that's interesting to me, I will do that. The best online marketing, even 30 years after the internet was first burst on our conscience, is often offline. Okay. If you are a professional, just keep in mind there are rules of conduct you must comply with when marketing. One of the reasons why you join a bar association, if you're a lawyer, or a CPA organization, if you're an accountant, is to get information about these rules. Just don't overpromise. Don't avoid advertising that is false and misleading, that violates federal law, Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act. Don't bait and switch. If you advertise a fee on your website, make sure you stick to it. When a client calls you, don't bait and switch. Well, I said it was going to be this, but it's really going to be that. People do not like that. By all means, seek positive reviews, but don't pay for them. There's an FTC rule, which a lot of people don't know. If you have paid someone for a positive endorsement, you must disclose that in the endorsement. That's why at the end of every game show, if you watch game shows on television, there's this little disclaimer that says certain people have received something in exchange for promotional consideration. That's what they're how they comply with this FTC rule. Okay. The bottom line on marketing, folks, do it ethically, do it professionally, but do it every day. It is the key to success in any small business. This is who I am. And now we have a few minutes left, so I want to hit the chat room. I know there were a few chats here, so let's go down this. Somebody here thinks I'm hilarious. That's wonderful. That's actually going to be my job when I do retire in a few years. I'm actually not going to continue doing legal stuff. I'm actually going to become a stand-up comedian. That's probably the best thing. Probably what I should have done. Here we are. Oh, I love this. Hi, I'm an AI assistant helping so-and-so take notes for this meeting. You will also be able to, is this a joke, by the way, or is this for real? If it is for real, I'm really impressed by this, if it is for real. But knowing this crowd and knowing that for many of these people, this is not your first Cliff Ennico program, I do suspect that this is a scooch, as the Italian American
There's
people
actually
say.
3 questions in the Q&A section if you want to click on that.
Which tells me that this may be an AI, actually. If they do the same thing over and over again, that's one of the things I look for. A good book is Cues, Small Signals, Incredible. There are a ton of good marketing books out there, by the way. I mean, I have my favorites. The best one, believe it or not, is over 100 years old. It's Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's the best book on personal marketing that has ever been done. It's over 100 years old and it's still valid. You can get, I'm sure, a copy on any used book sale for $2. Read it. It's the classic. Basically, he says people don't care about you; they care about themselves, and that is the most important lesson that in marketing. Okay. Can you get the website? Okay, my website is Cliff Ennico. Keep in mind that, and by the way, if you look at here's a little marketing thing. If you look at my slide here that I have up here, notice I didn't give you cliffennico.com. I gave you one of my other websites, which is called succeedinginyourbusiness.com. Why did I do that? Because people forget 5 minutes after this program is over, you're not going to remember how to spell my name. So succeedinginyourbusiness.com is easier to remember, and you can still get to me from that website. That's why I give you that one. So that's the marketing brain at work. So let's see, a lot of compliments here. Um, yeah, some people are summarizing, say habla español good. That really, I'm not kidding about that. If you do not speak Spanish yourself, hire someone who does and work with them, because that's such a huge underserved market in this, not just in Connecticut, but throughout the United States.
Cliff, there is
Uh,
some questions in the Q&A section if you want to open the Q&A
oh, the
section.
Q&A. Oh, thank you. Let's do that. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat room. I always like to look at the positive stuff first. And now, okay, how do you find organizations to do business with if your clients are B2B? Well, there are organizations that are focused on B2B marketing, but again, you want to know who you're. I mean, I get these calls all the time from journalists. I mean, there are publications out there called the Wisconsin Journal for Left-Handed Management Consultants of Lithuanian Origin. There are publications that are very targeted like that. Try to find them as much as you can. This is where your internet search skills really come into habit. I mean, niche marketing is very, very good. What if I told you that there was an organization based in Philadelphia of people who collect mechanical banks? People, from the early 20th century, these cast iron banks where you put your penny in and it does something cute to deposit the penny. There's over 5,000 different banks, and there are over 50,000 members of this organization in Philadelphia of mechanical bank collectors. I mean, there's all these specialized organizations. There used to be a publication. They no longer do it, unfortunately, called the Encyclopedia of Associations, which was nothing more than a directory of organizations, clubs, things like that. I'm sure that somewhere online there is a similar directory of organizations, clubs, social groups throughout the United States. Look for the ones that are not as popular. I mean, obviously, if I'm a lawyer, I'm going to try to join the American Bar Association, but I'd much rather join small business groups and things like that. Pros and cons of workshops versus speeches. That's a real technical topic. I mean, generally speaking, I mean, well, first of all, most of it is webinars now. I mean, that's the flavor of them. Podcasts is another thing too, by the way, which some of you, if you have a good voice, because audio quality is very important with those things, consider doing a podcast and getting your name is working. How do you know if your marketing is working? Well, here's the thing: you'll know when it's not working because nobody's calling you. Okay, that's the easiest way to know that your marketing is not working. What is working? Well, don't be afraid to ask your customers. I do the same thing. How did you hear about me? That's the most, I don't do surveys and questionnaires because people don't have the time for them, but I'll always ask a new client when they call me for the first time, if say it's a score referral, how did you hear from me? Oh, my score counselor mentioned it. I saw one of your webinars. I saw your YouTube channel. That helps me get a feel for where it's coming from. And I don't waste time on things that I don't think are going to work with me. Or if I do, I mean, I may try a couple of things just for fun and giggles. But if I'm not pulling from it, then I just quit it. I don't have the time. That's one of the reasons, by the way, why my Facebook page. I have a Facebook thing, but it's strictly for friends and family members. Don't ask me to be a Facebook friend because I'm not looking to generate business that way. I do not have time to keep a Facebook page up every day, which is what you have to do. If you're going to do social media, you got to do at least a daily update of what's up there. If you're not, don't make that commitment. LinkedIn, okay, maybe every week or every month you can get away with updating stuff, but you got to keep that stuff up to date. If you don't keep it up to date, sooner or later the search engines forget you. Okay. Um, okay. Is it advisable to incorporate a case study and newsletter section? Absolutely. You should give away free information. Hey, here's a free newsletter. Sign up for it. You can do an RSS feed where people can subscribe. Constant Contact is a great software solution for keeping track of lists. Do a blog every week. I mean, blogs, are kind of old school, but people still read them. Sometimes when I search for things, what I see is a discussion thread of people with technical questions and stuff like that. That's also part of your marketing. How do you reestablish your business if you let your marketing fall to the wayside for quite a while? Get back in the game. Get back in the game. The three big words, you see it all the time: under new management. Okay. Whenever you see the sign under new management, it means the restaurant, the deli, whatever, has not been doing the marketing that it should have, and now it's trying to get people back in the fold again. Consider doing that. Formerly with so and so is now doing this. How do you keep clients from overextending your meeting time? I schedule 1 hour, start wrapping up, and you still miss my ending time. It's very hard to control, especially in my business, because people unfortunately have very thorny legal issues. They're not straightforward up and down yes or no answers. These are people with stories to tell, and the stories take 30 minutes to tell before I can finally upload the template to my brain saying, okay, now I get what this problem is and I know how to solve it. I have a strategy for figuring it out. I always try to do it. What I try to do, I mean, the good news is we're all working out of the house lately, so we're all doing phone calls and stuff. So I can always say, look, let me just say, I'll do this halfway through a call. I'll say, by the way, just so you know, I have another call at 2 o'clock here, which I really have to take. That way, that puts a time frame on it, and usually the client listens to that and they'll say, "Oh, listen, I know you have to go. Can we reschedule for some other time?" That's the best way that I think you can do that. If you're talking about a live meeting, it's harder to do, but let people know. And even if you have to make it up, just simply saying, "I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, so I'm not going to be available. How do I find the time for writing stuff when I have a busy law practice?" The answer is because I will tell people, listen, I have a doctor's appointment from 9 to 11 tomorrow, but you should be able to reach me after that. It's not a doctor's appointment. It's something I'm going to write, which I just have to get to somebody or they're going to kill me. There are ways. I actually have a program on time management. For those of you who are interested, if you go to YouTube and search for Cliff Ennico, remember, again, always Cliff Ennico, never Clifford, Cliff Ennico Time Management. You'll see it's a half an hour program that I do. And I think that one also has like a couple of 100,000 views or something like that on it. That'll help you, keep control of your time when you're dealing with service customers who can be. Some people can be time vampires. And one of the key goals in your life as a service professional is to get the time vampires out of your life. Because they will, the clients. I mean, the client I don't want is the client that wants to take up 2 hours of my time. They only call me once a year, and they don't pay their bill until they need me for the next time. Those are the clients I don't want. The clients that I want are the ones that are going to give me a couple of $1,000s a month. They pay their bills on time and they respect my time. As a solo, I work alone. I do not have staff, and I always make sure that my clients know that. I can't always answer emails on a same day basis. Make sure a lot of it is communication and letting your clients know, that you do have limitations and that their messages aren't going to be always responded to in 5 minutes. So I hope I answered as many
Yep,
of the questions as
that
possible.
was
If not, here's the information right up there on the screen where you can get a hold of me. I always respond to messages from SCORE people. I may not get back to you the same day, but I will get back to you usually within a couple of days. And if I can't help you, I'll try to give you a resource where that can. So, Tim, again,
all
thanks as
right.
always to SCORE Fairfield for having me. It's been a great show, and I look forward to hearing from some of you folks. Have a great day, and please go out there and make tons of money.
Yeah. Speaking of time management, we're 6 minutes over, but thanks, Cliff. It was another great day. Again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on the screen or visit our website and request a mentor. Also, fill out your evaluations that have been sent at the end of the webinar. Everybody who registers is sent a link to the recording. We don't send copies of the slides out, but you're welcome to watch the recording as often as you want. Take snapshots of certain screens if you need to. That is that. On behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's SCORE live webinar. In closing, a big thank you to Cliff Ennico for presenting today. Have a nice day, everybody.
Thanks, Tim.